So you're stressed out. I get it. We all get stressed out. And I can basically tell you why you're stressed out. It's one of two reasons. One, something's going to change and you know it's going to change. Or something may change and you're panicked about it. My anxieties typically fall into those two categories. And they focus around the fact that I am out of control of the outcome of those circumstances. It can be about money, it can be about people, it can be about my health, it can be about, but it always lies in tomorrow, right? Anxiety is me not knowing the outcome and wanting to have some sort of view or control as to what that may be. And it's difficult. And so I can't tell you how many people I've been talking to recently that are just freaked out about something that they're expecting to go one way and ends up not, or going a completely different way. My dad used to tell me that some of the worst things that he ever lived through never really happened. And what he meant by that was typically we make movies in our head about how outcomes are going to be based on the information that we see and ourselves. And the outcomes, those movies that we make in our head, they rarely turn out good in our minds. They're always going to be bad. So it isn't uncommon for us to be freaked out about things that we have absolutely no control over. You've likely heard the term, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. My dad used to have a saying that sometimes we get so upset about things that we try to pole vault over mouse turds thinking that they're mountains. And that's a matter of building unnecessary fears out of nothing. And so you've got to be careful not to do that as well. It's easy to do, so don't get caught up in that. The thing that we fail to realize, and here's the beautiful thing, I don't care if you're 10 or 80, there are things that we're anxious about. There are things that we stress out about. So the truth is that it always falls back to, the reality of it is that it always falls back to, I am powerless over situations. I'm powerless over people, I'm powerless over places, and I'm powerless over things. There's a lot that I have very little control over. And so I panic. But the problem is that we fail to realize that there is someone who is in control of all those circumstances and all those situations. And I'm talking about God. And either you have a God of your own understanding that you believe in, that is strong enough to handle every circumstance and every situation, or you don't. You may not believe in God. You may be mad at God because he isn't what you thought he was going to be. But here is the God's honest truth from 50 years of experience in my life. There isn't a circumstance or situation that I'm going to go through, that I am currently going through, or that any of us are going through that he has not already known the outcome for, known the circumstances and situations as they unfold. Now, that's not to say that we can't, we don't have free will, because we absolutely have free will. But he knows us that well. He created us. He designed us. He created the planet, created every circumstance, every situation. He designed it. And having designed it, knowing the beginning from the end, he knows the choices we're going to make. He knows the decisions and the outcomes thereby. He knows the consequences to our actions. And so either we are not able to have faith in a God that is bigger than us, which is really, there's a great need for panic, right? Because it's all on you. But when you get to the point when you realize that there is a God, that he created everything under the sun, the stars, the moon, the earth, every person, every snowflake, independent, individual, specifically for a specific and purposeful plan, then there's less really to worry about. It's not to say that you shouldn't have concerns. It's not to say that you shouldn't have things that you realize make you anxious. I think the fact that we have anxiety is a God-created gift, right? I should be anxious about being out in the middle of the ocean without, a floaty device or a boat. That should make you anxious. You should be worried. But the outcome is not for yours to be worried about. I used to always get upset about what I thought people thought about me. And I mean, in fairness, I still do take into consideration how my actions and my words may reflect and how people may view me in that lens. But I worry less about it because a lot of people view me through their own lenses of their own issues and circumstances and situations. So my anxiety about how they're going to see me really isn't my business. My business is the person that I project out to other people. Do I want to be an a-hole, or do I want to be a cool guy? Do I want to be compassionate and caring? Do I want to speak truth? Or do I want to be slanderous and gossipy and try and just berate people? Because they're both out there, right? And so I don't need to be anxious about what people think about me. I only need to be anxious about what God thinks about me. He's the one that created me. He's the one that has plans for me. He is the one that has goals and things that he's designed me to work into. Why do I need to worry about what other people think about me? I don't. Listen to this. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. The thing to remember about anxiety and fear and panic and all those things is that they always start right here, right? They always start in the perception of what we believe to be true based on limited information and our own perception. Remember how I was talking about how we always make bad movies in our head? Listen to this. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. You see, the key is that you have some control over your thoughts. Thoughts can come from many different places: music, TV, radio, social media, whatever, right? And they can be ideas that are worked up into your head. But you have to take ownership of them. You have to take them captive. You have to hold them up to truth. And if they don't stand the test of time, then it doesn't matter. Somebody says you're fat, if somebody says you're too tall or too skinny or you talk funny, that may be their opinion, but that may not be true, right? If somebody tells me I'm an elephant, I can just look and realize that I am not, in fact, an elephant. So their perception, their opinion is not true. It is not reality. It is fantasy. And you don't have to live in fantasy. You don't have to be captive to fantasy. Hold on to what is true, hold on to what is real, and think about the things that you know to be true. That's how you take control of anxiety. It's not to say we're not going to worry about things. I think it's natural to be concerned for circumstances and situations as they come. I think it's respectful to have worries for people that you love, because you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see them fall into dark situations, and nobody wants to see damage done to people that we love. But as far as our own lives are concerned, as long as we're doing the things that we know that we need to be doing, if we're doing the next right thing, then put anxiety away, recognizing that your responsibility is your next two steps, and allow God to light up the path before you. Sure, you've got decisions to make. Sure, you've got things that you should be worried about, technically. But trust in the one who created you for a plan. Trust in the one who wants to see you do well, who wants to see you enjoy his creation, his purpose, his plan for you. You don't need to worry about things that you have no control over. So last thing, you know that there are going to be things that cause you stress and cause you panic. Two things I would suggest that you do. Find somebody to talk to about it. Somebody who does not live in the realm of panic and drama, but rather somebody who is calm and level-headed and can speak wisdom into the situation. Because I know for me, sometimes I can't really get past my own ideas and concepts about what's going to happen and take place. So talking to somebody else is massive, because they can just say something and I'm like, man, I've been such a fool. I'm not thinking about things clearly, right? Because I get so caught up in my head. So find somebody to talk to. And the other thing is to write it down, right? Because sometimes putting it on a piece of paper as best as you can and then looking at it, you can see where you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit with things that aren't necessarily true. Life is tricky. life is full of difficulties and hurdles and challenges. That's part of what makes us people, and it's part of what makes us more mature and more responsible. But we don't have to worry to the point where it like encompasses us and raises our heart, our blood pressure, and makes us sick. I think stress can cause cancer. I'm not a scientist, but I've seen a lot of people dealing with a lot of things, and it is definitely not healthy. So talk to somebody. Talk to me. Those of you that know me. I'm willing to sit down and obviously jackjaw for a long time, but I've experienced a lot of stupid things, and I know for personally that stress and panic, they don't make anything better. They really don't. Like the verse I read, it doesn't add an hour to my day. In fact, it usually is a waste of time. But I love you guys, and I just keep hearing about people in general, not just kids, but adults as well, that are just freaked out about this or that, and they let it get into their head, and they let it live there, and it grows, and it gets ugly, and it gets dark. And we need to be aware of that. We need to look out for each other. We need to love on people. We need to be more compassionate. And the only way to do that is to get it out of ourselves. So it's a work in progress. But I can tell you right now, if you're stressed about something, one of the easiest way to get out of it, go help somebody else. Find a way to be of service to somebody else, and your stresses will leave, because it's not hard to find other people that are in need. And then it puts things into perspective. Love you guys. God bless. See ya.